Hello, Watchmen of Ephraim. This video has to do with something that I was presented to in a debate a while back concerning the lake of fire and how long it will last. And you can Google this question, and it's for the most part an unanswered question because you'll get both sides of it. Will this lake of fire last forever, or will it last, if you want to get more specific, into the new creation? Which, if you want to get even more specific, is the 8th day after the Feast of Tabernacles, Revelation 20. Once again, Revelation 20 is the Feast of Tabernacles or the Feast of Nations, as I'm going to get into a little bit. Or the part of the Feast of Ingathering, the ingathering of the nations. There are those who believe that Revelation 20:14-15 is out of context or out of place. It's actually referring back to the time of the end of, Tabernacles, or Revelation 20, or the kingdom. And mankind meets this fate. It's the final judgment. It can't last into the new heaven and earth because all things are made new. And they will meet the so-called second physical death. They will be destroyed forever. So when all things are made new, beginning in Revelation 21:22, there will be nobody outside being refined. And of course, the mainstream immortal soul doctrine is that people will be tortured forever. And that's disgustingly, blasphemously false. And so is annihilationism. Hey, once again, what do we have? We have a mystery on our hands because it's a highly debated topic. This is the key verse once again in Revelation. But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he is about to sound, the mystery or the sacred secret or the hidden truth of God should be finished as he declared to his servants, the prophets. We're going to go to Moses once again to solve this mystery. Revelation 22:15 is not out of place. If there are stragglers left over at the end of Revelation 20, and it seems like there are, they may very well go into from the kingdom age, the 7th day, into the 8th day. You also got to understand the Greek translation that gets horribly translated into forever and ever. All right, so let's first go to, I want to zero in on Revelation 14:9-11. Then a third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, "If anyone worships the beast and his image and receives his mark on his forehead or on his hand, he himself shall also," notice, shall drink of the wine of the wrath or passion of God, which is poured out full strength into the cup of his indignation. That's an illusion. Why all of a sudden in Revelation is God's wrath, which is in the Torah and the prophets, as he declared to his servants the prophets, why is it compared to wine? Drinking wine poured out full strength. What group of people is he talking to here? You have 3 harvests once again. 3 times in a year shall all your males appear before Yahweh. Those 3 times represent 3 harvests. In the spring, the barley. In the early summer, the wheat. And in the fall, the grapes. Got to go to, as he declared to his servants the prophets, he shall be tormented or tested with fire and this is also an illusion, as I covered in my last video dealing with the lake of fire. This lamb that's in the presence of these people, testing them with fire and brimstone, sulfur. It's alluding to the goldsmith and the crucible that purifies gold, and the smoke of their torment ascends forever and ever. So this is what I want to cover here, this term forever and ever, and what it really means. So let me cover here the interlinear, the Greek, Revelation 14:11. We're going to zero in on this English translated words, these English translated words here, forever and ever. It's one of the worst, if not the worst, translation you could ever get. Verse 11, and the smoke of their torment, Basano, the touchstone, more properly rendered here, and I'm not going to go into this word, tested. This is all about the goldsmith in the presence of the Lamb, because the goldsmith has to be present in the purification process. He has to oversee it. This is an illusion once again. Notice here, of them to ages of ages, or to the ages of ages, or ice here. Ice aeonis, aeonion. You look here, ice, to or into, indicating the point reached or entered of place, time, purpose. So when do these people enter? When do they go into this testing, into this fire? Well, at the end of the 7th day, or the age to come. After this present evil age, there are 2 more ages. The kingdom age, or the 7th day, and the new creation or consummation age, or the 8th day after tabernacles, which is the new heaven and new earth. So this is how it should be translated here. Into the ages of the ages, or the two great ages. So their testing is going to go into the ages of the ages. It'll begin at the end of this end of the kingdom age. You want to get more specific? The seventh day of the Feast of Tabernacles, which is the greatest day of the feast. You can read about that in John chapter 7, verses 37, 39, around there. I should do an updated video on that. That is Hoshana Rabbah. Yeah, I don't want to get too far off track here. So, in other words, once again, their torment will begin. This is kind of the eons or the ages. You have the first eon age here. If you believe in a before the creation in Genesis chapter 1:1, there was an age in which there was something catastrophic happened. And then the earth was without form and void, or became, tohu and bohu, became without form and void. I don't want to get too far off. Then you have the second age here, from the time of the Genesis 1:1 creation to the flood. Then you have this present evil age here. Then you have the millennium, or the kingdom age. And then you have this at the end right here, it's Satan loose from his pit, and then you have Satan cast into the lake of fire. See, it's right near the end. You have the great white throne judgment right at the end here. Here's the kingdom age, or the seventh day. Then here is the new heaven and new earth age. It actually has here, this diagram here, this image here actually backs up what I'm saying. At the end, God all in all, there's really no end to the eighth day concerning this, the human race here on the earth. Okay, so you have these two ages, into the ages of the ages, or the two great ages. The ages of the ages, the two ages of all these ages. Okay? Same thing for Revelation 20, verse 10. The devil who deceived them were cast into the lake of fire, where the beast and the false prophet are not there, the word, and shall be tested into the ages of the ages. All right? Into the ages of the ages, into the ages. Those are the two ages of all the ages. You have Ephesians 3:21, where it mentions the age of the ages, which is referring to the new heaven and new earth. That's the greatest of all the ages. I hope I didn't confuse you. I hope I made sense. The ages of the ages are the last two ages of all the ages from before the Genesis 1:1 creation. They're going to be tested into the last two ages. Doesn't mean that it's going to be forever. There will come, when they're purified, then they'll be born spirit on their appointed, in the eighth day. They will become a new creation also. So to back this up, you have to go to as he declared to his servants, the prophets. So we want to go to, one more, this diagram here, this picture here. You have the 1,000 years here of peace, beginning at the Day of Atonement, restoration. And then you have the 1,000-year kingdom, which is also the Jubilee, which is also the Sabbath. All man must rest. It's also the year of release of debts, of sins. All sins must be forgiven. Then you have the 8th day here, the new heaven and the new earth. Ages of the ages, all the way back. Okay? So we want to go to, or if you want to prove this, you want to go to Numbers chapter 19. During the Feast of Tabernacles, or as it's also known as the Feast of Nations, Numbers 29, sorry, knew I was off. Numbers 29. Okay, you have these offerings on the Feast of Tabernacles, with which once again is the Jubilee, is the 1,000-year Sabbath rest after 6,000 years of man going his own way, the kingdom age. There are 70 bulls commanded to be offered over the 7-day span of this 7-day feast. And on the 8th day will give us our answer, the 8th day after this feast, which represents the new heaven and new earth. All right. So you got to go into, as he declared to his servants the prophets, the Feast of Nations. Now, let's just do a quick witness. Zechariah chapter 2, one of my favorites. Verse 10, 11, around there. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for behold, I am coming and will dwell in your midst, says Yahweh. Notice, verse 11. Many nations shall be joined to Yahweh in that day, and they shall become my people. This is the Feast of Tabernacles. This is the millennium. And I will dwell in your midst. He's going to tabernacle with humanity. You can also see this in Zechariah chapter 14. Of the nations that are left, they'll come up from year to year to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. They are rehearsing for the new heaven and the new earth. They're going up 3 times a year, the grape harvest. They're going up and tabernacling with Yahweh. It's a rehearsal for when they will tabernacle with God, or God will tabernacle with them. Revelation chapter 21. Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them. And I will dwell in your midst. The thing that has been is what will be. Okay. All right. The Feast of Nations, or the gathering of the nations. The gathering in of the nations. The Feast of Ingathering, which covers these 2 ages. We're going to count here. 70 bulls. What does 70 bulls represent? The 70 original nations of Genesis chapter 10. That's why you have this strange number 70 linked to Joseph and Jacob's descendants, not Joseph, going down to Egypt. 70 people went down to Egypt. Or 70 people were in Egypt. 70. It's linked with Jacob's descendants. He's tipping you, the world going down into sin, into Egypt, and then released. It's all a mystery, a sacred secret. On the 15th day of the 7th month, you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no customary work, and you shall keep a feast to Yahweh 7 days. This is tabernacles. You shall present a burnt offering, an offering made by fire, as a sweet aroma to Yahweh. Now notice the first day, 13 young bulls, 2 rams, and 14 lambs in their first year. They shall be without blemish. Their grain offering shall be of fine flour mixed with oil, 3/10 of an ephah for each of the 13 bulls. Okay, just skipping down, verse 16. Also, 1 kid of the goats is a sin offering. If the congregation of Israel, the whole nation, sinned, by the way, Leviticus chapter 4, and the sin offering, they had to offer a bull. Okay, so that's further confirmation that a bull, these 70 bulls represent 70 nations. 1 kid of the goats is a sin offering. Okay, so there's 13 burnt offerings, bulls, and a sin offering. Okay. Just trying to cut a little short. So that's 13 on the first day. On the second day, present 12 young bulls, 2 rams, 14 lambs in their first year without blemish. Grain offering and their drink offering for the bulls, for the rams, and for the lambs. Okay. Also, 1 kid of the goats is a sin offering. Okay. Yeah, the sin offering. Now you have 12. We're up to 25. On the third day, present 11 bulls, 2 rams, 14 lambs in their first year without blemish. Grain offering, drink offering for the bulls. Okay. Also, 1 goat as a sin offering. Notice it's a goat too. These are the common land people. The priests get a bull on the Day of Atonement because of the higher office for a sin offering. Okay, so we have now 11, 25. Now we're up to 36. Math was my worst subject. It was boring, not that I couldn't. On the fourth day, present 10 bulls, 2 rams, 14 lambs in their first year, without blemish. And their grain offering and their drink offering, on and so forth. Also, 1 kid of the goats is a sin offering. Okay, so we have 10 now. We have, 25, 36, 45, right? On the fifth day, present 9 bulls. 45, 54. I hope I'm right here. 2 rams, 14 lambs in their first year without blemish. I've done this a few times before. And their grain offering, so on and so forth. Also a sin offering. We're up to what? 54. Let's see. Again, 25, 13, and 12. 11, 30, 36. 10, 45, 54. Okay. All right. I should have wrote this stuff down. 54. On the sixth day, present 8 bulls. 54, 63, right? On the sixth day, present 8 bulls, 2 rams, my mind's going to 14 lambs in their first year without blemish. Okay. Also, 1 goat of the sin offering, always a sin offering. On these days, cover for their sins. Okay, so we're up to 63. On the 7th day, present 7 bulls, 2 rams, and 14 lambs. So 7 bulls, that completes the 70 bulls. This is the 7th day. This is also the judgment. This is also Hoshana Rabbah. This is also the second resurrection. On the 7th day, present 7 bulls, 2 rams, 14 lambs in their first year without blemish. Okay. Also, 1 goat as a sin offering, besides the regular burnt offerings, its grain offering, and its drink offering. So there it is. Feast of Tabernacles, the Millennium, the Kingdom Age, the Jubilee, the Sabbath. It's done, right? Next we have the 8th day. We shouldn't have any more offerings anymore because it's the new heaven and new earth. Supposedly, who's ever cast into the lake of fire and experiences a second death, done, right? Because all things are made new. I forgot to read Revelation. I'll go to it. Revelation chapter 22, 14, 15. These people believe that is out of context, or it's really it's not witnessing the during the new heaven and new earth, but it's actually like just it's more in context of the of this present evil age actually and the next age. It doesn't really pertain to the new heaven and new earth. So no more sacrifice, right? All things are made new. We don't need any more burnt offerings. We don't need any more sin offerings. Well, as he declared to his servants, the prophets, these people never go to the Torah. They never go to, as he declared to his servants, the prophets, to understand the sacred secrets, the counsel of God, the hidden truths. Here is the new heaven and the new earth. On the 8th day, right? New beginning, new creation. You shall have a sacred assembly. You shall do no customary work. This is an 8th day Sabbath, right? God is now all in all. You're going to be sons of God. You're going to be composed of the Holy Spirit. You won't be able to sin. God all in all will do the work. Now notice though, verse 36, you shall present a burnt offering, one burnt offering, an offering made by fire as a sweet aroma to Yahweh. One bull, one ram, 7 lambs in their first year without blemish. Notice now. Okay, well, let's just go through it. First year without blemish, and their grain offering and their drink offering for the bull, for the ram, and for the lambs, by their number according to the ordinance. Notice verse 38. Sins supposedly destroyed. Everything's made new. Also, he also says, I make all things new, not I have made all things new, in Revelation 20, 21. Also notice on the 8th day, the new heaven, new earth, one goat as a sin offering. So if there are no more sinners, if there's nobody else to be cleansed, if all the poor slobs who, weren't found written in the book were burned up, and the second death that's an illusion, by the way, once again. Also, it's the spiritual death they have to undergo. If there shouldn't be any more need for a sin offering on the 8th day. But it's there. You got to remember the mystery of God. Outside of Jerusalem during the Feast of Tabernacles and the 8th day, there were groups of people who could not enter the city. Those who had discharges, those who had touched a dead body. And how are you cleansed if you touched a dead body? The red heifer. And there are the lepers. While we're in the neighborhood, This kingdom, once again, this shadow of the kingdom is set up in Numbers 5. It's ready to go. Within 2 weeks, they could be in the promised land. Everything's set up. Everything's ready to go. The tabernacle's built and everything's ready to go. Numbers chapter 5. They're getting ready to move. What does God command? They're ready to go into the promised land. And Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, command the children of Israel that they put out or cast out of the camp every leper, everyone who has a discharge, and whoever becomes defiled by a corpse. Contact with a corpse or a dead body. You shall put out both male and female, cast out. Good translation, cast out. There's translations that translate that. Male and female, you shall cast them outside the camp. Revelation 29, another illusion. They went up to the breadth of the earth. They went up to and surrounded the beloved city and the camp of the saints. It's just an illusion tipping you back. That they may not defile their camps, in the midst of which I dwell. Of which I dwell. Cast out all the lepers, all the dead bodies, people contaminated with sin, all the discharges. Anybody that had a discharge that's outflowing, it's just a sin that can be seen. A discharge stopped up, people with a polluted inner spirit, the inner man. Can't be seen. Okay? Cast outside. So, in the kingdom age, you have 70 bulls, and you have sin offerings on each day. And on the 8th day, new heaven and new earth, you have one bull, and you have one sin offering. Those are for the stragglers that are left over. Once again, during tabernacles on the 8th day, there were a group of people that could not, there were three groups that could not enter the city, who were defiled with sin, and they had to go through a cleansing process. The leper's garment, burned in the fire, washed in water. The one who touched a dead body, they had to go through the red heifer, the water, the fire, the ashes. And each of these had their worm that dieth not, the toll of worm. They could not partake. They were outside the city waiting to be cleansed. Healed and cleansed. Or cleansed and healed. Again, what is this? The thing that has been is what will be. You're solving a mystery, a sacred secret. You just can't interpret it right up. Okay? Just one other thing here. Let's go to Revelation. Let's wrap it up. I want you to notice one more thing, because I've had people that say, behold, I am coming quickly, and my reward is with me, to give everyone according to his work. I am the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are those who do his commandments, or wash their robes. I think is more appropriate. I don't have a problem with either one. He's not talking about the whole law of Moses here. What's the fulfillment of the law? And whose love comes out of. I don't want to get too far off. I've done videos on all that stuff. Wash their robes, that they may have the right to the tree of life and may enter through the gates into the city, the beloved city and the camp of the saints. Okay, going up to Jerusalem 3 times a year, Feast of Tabernacles, and the 8th day. All right, they may have the right to enter the city. Camp of the saints. These are all allusions. So we have a fire into the 8th day. What is this fire? What did Jesus say in Mark 9? This is the fire that shall not be quenched. Do you see it? It's in the new heaven and into the new heaven and new earth. It's into the ages. That's the 2 great ages of all the ages. And if it takes that long, and you will be in disgrace, you'll be out there habbing with old Scratch. Do you see how it's the fire that's never quenched? It's not quenched. Again, just Numbers chapter, let me go back here. Numbers 6. Let's do a hop, skip, and a jump here again. And let's finish with we'll go back to Revelation 20. Starting in verse, not Numbers, Leviticus, I'm sorry. Starting in verse 9. Command Aaron and his sons, saying, this is the law or Torah of the burnt offering. It is the burnt offering because of the burning on the altar all the night unto the morning, and the fire on the altar is burning on it. That the priest has put on his long robe of fine linen and fine linen trousers. He doth put on his flesh, and hath lifted up the ashes which the fire consumeth with the burnt offering of the altar, and has put them on near the altar. Okay. Verse 12, and the fire on the altar is burning on it. It is not quenched. And the priest has burned on it wood morning by morning, and has arranged on it the burnt offering, and has made perfume. Okay, let's just go on here. Verse 13, fire is continually burning on the altar. It is not quenched. Into the 8th day, it is not quenched. Okay, it shows you in the Torah. To understand Revelation, you got to go back to, as he declared to his servants, the prophets, the fire is never quenched. Okay. And their worm that dieth not, the toll of worm, is all part of that purifying, cleansing process they got to go through. Okay. Mystery solved. Shows you in the Torah. Shows you on the 8th day after Tabernacles, which is the new heaven and new earth. Going to have a sin offering, going to have a burnt offering. Just one more thing, going back to Revelation. Notice what it says. Verse 17. And the Spirit and the bride say, come. When does the bride appear? Revelation 21. The bride comes down from heaven, the New Jerusalem, as a bride, adorned for her husband. That's when you first see the bride. So this is 8th day, man. And let him who hears says, come, and let him who thirsts come. Whoever desires, let him take of the water of life freely. You can read Isaiah chapter 12 on that. The wells of salvation, the wells of Yeshua, translated. Okay? The Spirit and the bride say, come. Sounds like it's in the new heaven and new earth age. They're calling out to those outside the city. Come. Spirit and the bride say, come to them. All right, so that's that mystery solved. The fire will go into the 8th day. It's in the Torah. Thank you for your time, and thank you for listening.